the Char Yatra, 4 sacred temples situated high in the Himalayas that hundreds of thousands of people visit every year. Each temple is dedicated to a different deity, and all of them hold a deep significance in Hinduism. The 4th and last temple is Badrinath, one of the most important temples dedicated to Lord Vishnu. According to legend, this is the place where Vishnu did penance for many years, and later it became a small village for many yogis to follow in his footsteps.
Good morning! I'm in Badrinath. I'm so happy. This is like one of my favorite places on planet Earth. It's just, yeah. The first time I came here I didn't even know about the temple that's here. I only came here because I heard it's a little village of yogis. Unfortunately, when I came here, I realized that is very much in the past, and now it's a small city with a lot of people. But still, once you go into the mountains, it's something else. But before I do that, let's check out the temple. It is believed that this temple was originally a Buddhist temple, and in the 8th century, Adi Shankaracharya, the same being who revived the Kedarnath temple, came here and revived and rebuilt this temple. Inside the temple there's a murti, which is a statue of Narayana, an incarnation of Vishnu to whom this temple is dedicated to. And that murti was carried here by Adi Shankaracharya through a long way. It is mind-boggling to actually think about the effort and dedication that went into this temple. For me, it took days to come here on well-built roads and by bus and car. But Adi Shankaracharya walked here with a statue to re-establish Hinduism and to create this beacon of light and support for all the yogis that came here in the future. Foot of Narayana. It is said that when Vishnu took the incarnation of Narayana, his foot was placed right behind me. That was the first step he took on this earth. And Narayana, Krishna, Rama, they are all just manifestations of the formless, different forms of the formless. And in Hinduism, they are considered the incarnations of Vishnu. And all of them represent the different aspect of the formless. Rama was the great hero, and through the story of the Ramayana, we learned how one can relate to God as a servant and a friend through Hanuman. Then there is Krishna, the eternal lover of the gopis, and we learned how we can relate to God as the beloved. And all these, what I'm talking about right now, I'm describing the path of Bhakti yoga, the path of the heart, using relation dualism to go to that which is beyond all dualism. And it's the path of love, of learning unconditional love, learning how to go beyond I love you to I am love to love. Learning how to go beyond dualism by using it in relation to God. And so once you start the path, you start dancing with your beloved. And for those of you who dance with another person, you know at the beginning it's kind of messy. You step on each other's foot, you get out of rhythm, and it takes some time to get together, to find the harmony and the flow of the movement. Life just wants to play with you, and you should play with it. And it's this kind of dance of pushing and pulling and pushing and pulling, and it's very sweet. But at the beginning, it's very messy because you resist. I'm sure many of us have been in relationships, and we know that point when the honeymoon phase is over, and suddenly we find those little things that don't quite fit into the picture in our head. And as long as we relate to God, we do relate to a concept. And as long as we have a concept, we have expectations maybe. Or we have certain ideas about how it should be. Who is Krishna? Who is Rama? We have certain kind of ideas. And when we experience things that don't fit into those boxes that we've created, we stop the dance and we fall out of the rhythm. But essentially, you have to go beyond dualism. And for me, what helped with that was the Bhagavad Gita, the story where Krishna and Arjuna talk before the battle, and Krishna imparts his knowledge. There were 3 lines in the Bhagavad Gita which came after one another, and I couldn't make any sense of them for a long time. And I would like to share this with you. The first line was Krishna saying, I pervade this entire universe as consciousness. Okay? I pervade this entire universe as consciousness. Alright, let's just be with that. Next line. All objects/beings, sometimes they use different translations, either objects or beings. All objects/beings are in me, but not I in them. Okay, that's interesting. All objects are in me, but not I in them. Which is weird because if you're coming from a Christian background and you are big on the soul concept, or even in Hinduism we have the Jivatman, the individual soul, that kind of spark, which is the formless, the unmanifest spark within the form. It is weird to hear that Krishna saying, God saying that I am not in them. And it's not that the universe is there and consciousness enters into it, but consciousness is the only reality in which the universe appears. And it's just saying that the effect exists in the cause. It would say there is clay in the pot, but in truth, there is a pot in the clay. But now comes the next line, which again flips everything around. Krishna says, and yet objects/beings do not abide in me. Okay, wait, hold up. He just said that I am consciousness and everything exists within me, but not I in them. And now he's saying that, but they are not really in me, So I'm not in them and they are not in me. So this is the point I got confused. But then I heard a story about Swami Vivekananda. He was leaving a lecture in New York City, and one of his students came after him and said, Swamiji, I finally got it. Everything is God. And Vivekananda turned around and said, that's dumb. That's not what I said. And the student was very confused. And Vivekananda explained that no, what I meant is that God only is and everything is not. You can see how the subtle dualism still existed in saying everything is God. There's everything and then there's God. But to say only God is and everything is not, that's the point when you go beyond dualism. There is nothing. Buddhists will be very proud of me right now. There is nothing. God is. And once you find the sweetness of this realization, then you really start dancing in life.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram Jai 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 Ram Jai Jai Ram.
Not far from Badrinath is India's first village called Mana. This is the last village before you would reach the Tibetan border, which is just a few hours from here. Right behind me is the cave where Rishi Vyasa composed the Mahabharata, the great Sanskrit Indian epic, and then told to Ganesha, who in another cave nearby wrote it down. The Mahabharata is an epic, long scripture. It is a very, very thick book with 100,000 different characters. It is way better and more complex than the Game of Thrones. And in it is described what led to the battle that gives context to the Bhagavad Gita and what happened after it. And it's very beautiful that the heroes of the Mahabharata, the Pandava brothers, the 5 Pandava brothers, actually at the end of the Mahabharata came this way to ascend to heaven. And I think it's beautiful, this full circle, that the story was written down and put into words in this place. And according to the story, this is also the place where the story came to an end after a while. Also, next to Mana village is the river Saraswati. Its source is not far from here, but here it actually comes to the surface. The river Saraswati is a manifestation of the goddess Saraswati, who is the god of music and the arts and of speech. It's very interesting that Saraswati plays a huge role in Tantra sadhana, in Tantric sadhana, because she is the goddess of speech. And most of Tantra includes using mantras and using the Sanskrit alphabet. And it's a very powerful practice. And so if you go into Tantric sadhana, you will develop a connection to Goddess Saraswati.
I have been in India making videos for quite some time now, but it is becoming difficult because it is more and more apparent that which I want to talk about, I can't. The most important thing in my life itself, that which is the only reality, the reality which we all share because we are that reality, is not a thing you can put into concepts and words. And yet, it's always right here. So obvious that you can't miss it. Always just a thought away. So simple, nothing special. Just this. But this ordinary isness is the manifestation of the most extraordinary. the manifestation of you. Everything exists in your light, in the light of awareness, the unlimited and ever-free awareness that you are. Here, there is no you and there is no I. We can't even talk about yoga anymore, because there isn't two to unite. If I wasn't able to express anything else through these videos, I just want to express my gratitude. And I want to thank you for being, because nothing else is needed. That light which you are is everything there is. And to that light in you, I bow.